Hello and welcome back to another recap video for all of the models over at paydirt.ghost.io. My name is James McCool. I am the contributor builder guy over there. I am the one that is building all of the models and running all of them and doing this for accountability sakes. If you guys have been watching videos, you know the deal. So we're just going to jump into things. We had 4 models last night. No, 4 models? Yeah. So we had the NBA, NHL, and League of Legends models all active yesterday. Actually, we had both League of Legends models, both the LEC and LCS models running yesterday. I do not have the LEC up in front of me, but I do have the LCS because that was the main slate yesterday, the big slate. So I'm going to be breaking down the LCS. We're going to be breaking down NHL, and we're going to be breaking down the NBA matchups and the NBA range of outcomes. So first off, let's look as usual at the NBA matchups model. This is the DEM sheets. It was bad last night, boys and gals. It was pretty bad. The top plays at each position were Goran Dragic at point guard, Kevin Huerter at shooting guard, Marcus Morris at small forward with a little asterisk next to his name, Maxi Kleber at power forward with a little asterisk next to his name, and Boban Marjanovic, the god himself, at center. First off, Boban Marjanovic playing only 3 minutes when they were down basically all of their centers, and Maxi Kleber was in foul trouble towards the fourth quarter. That's just so dumb. Even a conservative projection over at RotoGrinders had him at 8 minutes. I think that my projection for him was somewhere around 12 or 13 minutes. It's not like I was asking for the world on a Boban game. I wanted him to play 2 decent shifts of 5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes in the first, 3 minutes in the second, 2 minutes in the third, and 4 minutes in the fourth or something. That is all that I was asking for. And the fantasy gods just were not having it. Last night was super wacky with every single sport, not only in basketball, but hockey and League of Legends as well. So Boban put up 6.5 fantasy points in about a minute, maybe 2 minutes, in like the 2-minute shift he had in the first quarter. Put up 6.5 fantasy points. I'm stoked. I'm pumped. I'm doing victory laps on Twitter. And then is not allowed to play at all for the rest of the game. Played 3 minutes, 41 seconds. So that's annoying. But I stand by the matchup. Like, you saw what he did in 3 minutes. He was at 2 fantasy points per minute. Max Kleber had a fantastic game playing center as well. So I don't have any reservations against going to Boban. It's just, life is hard. Things didn't work out the way that I wanted them to. And I want to point out that one of the other reasons why I had Boban projected for more minutes is because they were resting all their starters. Like you would expect Dallas, who was obviously punting this game, to not care so much about Boban's inability to defend against John Collins, who put up 66 fantasy points. Against not Boban. So you would think that them punting this game, they wouldn't really care that much about it and give him some extra run. But I digress. Things don't always go as we assume, and predicting the future is hard. So Boban, definite miss. Let's talk about Goran Dragic. He had 16 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. It was an okay game. He put up like 30 fantasy points. It was fine. I think he was 5,500 on DraftKings or somewhere close to that. He had a good game. I can't really be mad about that. But he was really the only person that had a good game or a good outcome here outside of Maxi Kleber. Maxi Kleber with 9 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and 5 blocks. Those 5 blocks were obviously pretty important. He dominated. He was super chalky. He ended up like 75% owned or something in the big GPP. So being on him was pretty important. Kevin Huerter had 3 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals. And those 4 steals are the only thing that kept him from having a straight up bad performance. Put up 23 fantasy points, I believe, which was good-ish. It's not bad. But he needed to be better from the field. If he doesn't score at least, 15 real-life points, he's probably going to give you a dud. And when I was looking through his box scores last night, he doesn't really have much of a ceiling. He has to play like 38 to 40 minutes a night in order to reach his median outcomes. So there's a really, really low floor and a really low ceiling on Huerter, but he was okay. He was better than Josh Richardson, who was the second best rated shooting guard. So I guess I'll take that as a win, but kind of a disappointing spot there. I wish he would have shot better from the field. Marcus Morris, I put an asterisk next to his name in the lead up to this. So he was the one in the small forward position, technically, for the sheets. And that's because on FanDuel and on CBS, he is listed as the small forward for this team. Unfortunately, he played power forward. It was Kawhi Leonard that started the small forward position, and it was something that I just didn't catch last night. Otherwise, I would have changed it and switched them up. Marcus Morris put up 6 real-life points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 block. Was obviously terrible, but Kawhi Leonard, who should have actually been listed here instead of Marcus Morris, put up 31 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals, and ended up having a pretty solid fantasy outcome. That being said, it doesn't really matter because those guys were on a game that wasn't on the slate. The person who was on the slate was Boban Bogdanovic, and I think he had a pretty decent game. I know that Kevin Porter had a straight-up bad game, and we'll talk about him when we get to the range of outcomes. But Boban Bogdanovic up against Houston, 12 points and 6 rebounds. I mean, Utah was terrible as a whole. Like, Rudy Gobert, 12 points, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks. God, their entire team was just terrible. So, yeah, I mean, the DEM sheet's pretty bad yesterday, all things considered. A little bit disappointing, especially on super chalk night. Having Boban at 3% owned and having him only play 3 minutes is just, it's almost as tilting as a Zamboni driver. But it is what it is. We're going to move on. Let's move on to League of Legends next and just cover this really quick before we get into the range of outcomes and stuff like that. League of Legends last night was wacky, for sure. The projections were not terrible. Had C9 and FlyQuest and TSM as kind of like the guys that you wanted to target. Burge, I have no idea how to pronounce his name, but this guy, the mid for TSM, Bergson, I think, he had a fantastic game. Put up like 38 fantasy points, and as a captain, I think put up like 56 or something like that. He was really, really necessary to have. The best stack that you probably could have had was TSM with FlyQuest. C9 ended up being a bit of a dud. Blaber just dominated. Blabber. I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know how to pronounce anything. He had a fantastic game. Niski had a really, really good game. Licorice did not for the top for C9, and he's who I used. He was the top value for me outside of Ignar for FlyQuest. So C9, FlyQuest, TSM, I think those guys were, they were my top 3, and even Dignitas. All of these favorites did well. It was a day where you really needed the favorites. I went with a C9 and Golden Guardian stack. Golden Guardians was up against FlyQuest. I figured FlyQuest would be the popular secondary stack to C9. If you haven't played any League of Legends, basically the way that it works is people pile on the biggest favorite of the day, usually C9 in the LCS. 909 favorites, obviously, going to be really, really popular. And then usually you try to guess on who's going to be the secondary stack, and I usually try to stack against them because things are pretty variant in League of Legends. So I went Golden Guardians, didn't work that well, but projections were really good. C9, FlyQuest, TSM, all did well. Had a couple of guys, top guys in this top 10. Definitely had Bergson and Blaber and Niski and all those guys that you needed to win. So League of Legends, pretty good, not too bad. We all kind of got dominated because we were trying to be different in the Slack, but it is what it is, or the Discord. So moving on to the NBA range of outcomes, as usual, as I did yesterday, I'm going to make it a more regular thing. Going to be going through the top 20 players and kind of like going through the good, the great, and the bad performances. We did have quite a few bad performances in this top 20, but we also had more great than anything else. So I'll take that as a win. I think that that's kind of one of the things that this range of outcomes does well, is find those those more extreme outcomes, I would always rather have a whole bunch of great and bad than a whole bunch of good. If you can land on a whole bunch of great and then have some bads mixed in there, then hopefully you can avoid the landmines. So, looks like Maxi Kleber, he was obviously great. He put up 32 fantasy points. Boban Marjanovic put up 6.5 fantasy points, and that sucks, but we've already talked enough about Boban the God. Dalen Wright put up 24 fantasy points. Great fantasy outcome for him. Goran Dragic put up 30.5. That was pretty good. That wasn't bad. It was below what we expected. Daniel Gafford put up 22.75. I projected him for 22.66. Happy about that. Duncan Robinson put up 26. I had him projected for 30. Happy about that. Colby White put up 42.75 fantasy points. Some flop lag there because we were all on him the night before, or it was maybe 2 nights ago when the Miami Chalk was there. I'm projected for 30, so he blew that out of the water. Happy about that. Kendrick Nunn, another Miami guy, put up 46. Fantastic fantasy outcome for him. 10x his fantasy score. Joe Ingles, I had him projected for 30. I don't know why the range of outcomes likes Joe Ingles so much right now. But it has not been great. He only put up 17 fantasy points. He was nearly 5K, so that's pretty bad. Dorian Finney-Smith, I'm projected for 29. He put up 18. He just could not do anything in the first half. All the shots were going to, who was it? Tim Hardaway Jr. So, I mean, he couldn't do anything in that first half. And then he picked it up quite a bit, kind of salvaged, but a pretty similar outcome to Joe Ingles. So that's definitely disappointing. Bam Adebayo, 33.75. Really bad performance, so that one sucks. And then Derek Jones put up 32.75. That is a fantastic fantasy output for him. He was only 3,500, had him projected for 23. He blew it out of the water. Russell Westbrook put up 50, had him projected for 54. It's good. It's fine. He was 9,800. It is what it is. Kevin Porter only put up 11 fantasy points. Another guy kind of like Joe Ingles, where the sheets, the range of outcomes just love him right now, and he's kind of bringing the suck. C.D. Osman had him projected for 24. He ended up putting up 40. Fantastic outcome from him. One of the reasons why Kevin Porter has not been able to do much is because, I mean, he only played 14 minutes last night, and C.D. Osman had the hot hand. He absolutely crushed, and they needed him. So C.D. Osman stole the show there, put up 10x. Rudy Gobert had him projected for 42. He only put up 23.5. He cannot do anything. His kryptonite is PJ Tucker at center. Any team playing small ball apparently just dominates Rudy Gobert, so I don't know what to do about that. Torian Prince had him projected for 27. Had him projected for 25. He put up 27. Happy about that. Joe Harris had him projected for 26.99. He put up 25. Happy about that. Josh Richardson, he was bad. I had him projected for 26. He put up only 14.25, but that was definitely well within his range of outcomes. As you start to get kind of lower towards the bottom of this list, guys are going to kind of fall apart. And then Mike Conley, had him projected for 29. He put up 32. So top 20 was pretty good here. As you can hear from, all of the projections versus what happened, the duds, they were big duds. But a lot of the guys, they either met or exceeded what I had projected for them, and that's all you can really ask for. So if Boban has a better night, I think that the range of outcomes would have probably brought home a lot of bread. I know that a lot of people were able to survive last night, even with the Jalen Brunson and the Boban news. And I had a couple questions about Jalen Brunson last night with whether he should be played or not. And it's like, he was already priced up, dude. Like, people will automatically take the first backup. Like, if Luka Doncic was the starting point guard, quote unquote. And so his direct backup, Jalen Brunson, ended up being really popular, but those minutes aren't just going to go up for Brunson. They're going to go up for Dalen Wright as well. And Dalen Wright was only 3,800. So if you're going to get a boost in minutes to both Brunson and Wright, Wright is the one that you want. He's the one that has the ceiling, not Brunson, who's already priced up. So I didn't really understand the Brunson chalk last night, and neither did the range of outcomes. So happy to be away from him. I think that range of outcomes was pretty damn good last night. Close things out with hockey, where I'm not going to talk too much about it because I stacked the Toronto main line. I stacked Toronto's front line and their power play unit. They're my main stack with the Montreal Canadiens and their power play 2. So the Toronto Maple Leafs were up against a team that had their Zamboni driver in goalie, a 42-year-old Zamboni driver, and they couldn't score on him. They scored 3 goals. Carolina scored 6 goals. Toronto scored 3 goals, but could not put up a big fantasy score against Zamboni driver. I don't know what to tell you, dude. Like losing money because of Zamboni driver is a new one. I'm not sure how to handle it. I'm probably going to be fighting with myself for the next couple days on how annoying that is. But the scores from last night, I mean, Carolina didn't rate well in the regular model. This is the cash model, but they rated really well in the GPP model. So I'm happy about that. Montreal, they put up 3 goals. They weren't bad, but they should have been able to put up more. Carolina was the team that you needed, and they rated pretty well in the GPP model. So I'm happy about that. I'm fine with that. Toronto rated really well in both sides. Over on the player ranks, I didn't get a chance to really look through a whole bunch of these, but a lot of Vegas nights know that Vegas was meh. David Pastrnak did not do super great. There were a couple guys that did okay, but overall, man, this was a really, really weird night. So if you use the hockey model, please let me know how it went for you. I didn't get too much of a chance to pay attention to it last night. I know that Toronto was okay. I know that Montreal was okay. I know that Carolina was the team that you needed to win. But overall, just a really, really weird night of hockey, and hopefully people aren't too bummed about the Zamboni thing. It's an incredible achievement for that guy to get his NHL win, but man, yeah, just super annoying. So this has been a models breakdown. Overall, I think the NBA was okay. The range of outcomes was good. I think the League of Legends was okay. The models were good. NHL was wacky, and the NBA DEM sheets were pretty bad. So this has been a breakdown. Thanks for tuning in. Let's keep building forward and doing something great.